Thank you for subscribing. We've got 18,251, I think, at the latest count. And for the benefit of the new subscribers, we've got more than 2,500 videos uploaded to this channel, or almost 2,500, more than 2,400. And to make it easier to find, many of them are arranged under playlists by topic. So do explore the playlist for videos on various topics. You may find them edifying. Also, thank you for all the kindness and generosity and compassion expressed by your kind donations and voluntary contributions for my eye treatment. I'm going every day this week. I've been on Monday and yesterday, Tuesday, today, Wednesday, and I'm also booked for Thursday and Friday. So altogether, I would have done 8 treatments. And yesterday's treatment on Tuesday, when they poured the medicine, it didn't sting. That means most of the toxins in the eyes have been removed. So 10 o'clock this morning, I'm going to Vision Space in SS2 to get my split lamp test done and to do the Ishihara test. Now, the split lamp test is to determine the degree of my cataracts. So hopefully it has come down, because by today I would have done about 5 or 6 treatments. But yesterday, definitely when they poured in the medicine, about 250 ml on each eye, to remove toxin, it didn't sting. So previous time when I did the 3-week course, also like that, the first 3 days it stings and after that it doesn't. So when it doesn't sting, that means most of the toxins have been removed and the medicine's working, and then the last few ones would clear up the cataracts quite nicely. So today is like midway, doing this split lamp test, and then we'll do the split lamp. I'll do the split lamp test again on Monday, 25th of November at University of Malaya Medical Centre at the Ophthalmology Department. If you're free, you can join me at Vision Space SS2 today at 10 o'clock. I have block booked 2 hours for those various tests and asking the optometrist various questions. The owner of Vision Space is Mr. Woon. Mr. Woon used to be the president of the Malaysian Society of Optometrists, and I also used to go to YK Leong in Damansara, Jaya, and he was also a former president of the Malaysian Society of Optometrists. Unfortunately, Mr. YK Leong had a stroke, and he's got a speech impediment, so it's difficult for me to understand what he's trying to say. So I don't go there anymore, although once in a while I do see his sister who's there. His sister used to work for the low vision unit of UKM for, I think, 10 years. So she's very experienced. Mr. Woon doesn't attend to customers anymore. He's got staff who does that. So one of his senior staff, Miss Lu, is very experienced, and he has younger staff which is trained. There's Cindy, who was trained at UKM. She did her degree in optometry at UKM. Okay, so that's that. And after that, I have an appointment with the Ayurveda to do more eye treatment. That's at 3 o'clock. Because from Vision Space, I'm going to take the 02 bus, PJS 02 bus from SS2 to Jalan Utara. And because I don't know what time the bus goes and how long the split lamp test and all the questions I have will be answered. So I just block book 2 hours. But 2 hours, if it finish at 12, sometimes I have to wait half an hour, 1 hour for the bus. I'm not sure what time the bus goes. Maybe it's on the hour. Anyway, the Ayurveda Center has a lunch break between 1 and 3. So I have to, what do you call it, make the earliest appointment only at 3. But I'm having lunch at Ayurveda Center. Already paid for it in advance. They have a vegetarian healthy lunch for 10 ringgit. So I thought the vegetables were stir-fried. Actually, it's not. It's just boiled with a little bit water until the water evaporates. And then it's done. So basically it's steamed. And then they put some spices, of course, to make it tasty. So yesterday I had rice with some gravy and papadums and 2 vegetables. I think one was kacang panjang, the other one was carrots with I can't remember what it is. With beans, with beans. And all very tasty, nutritious, and vegetarian. And only 10 ringgit. Very filling and satisfying, tasty, so good value for money. So the lunch is served from 12:30 onwards. So if you want to have lunch with me while waiting for my 3 o'clock appointment, you can join me at the Ayur Centre, which is at number 10, Jalan Utara in PJ. It's just off the Federal Highway. Bonus material for today. A lot of people are surprised that I'm not katak bawah tempurung or terencat akal kind of guy. And I think it has to do a lot with my education. So let's go back to primary school. No, even further back, what do you call it, kindergarten. So kindergarten, I went to Mrs. Dyer's kindergarten in Jalan Penggawa. At that time, I was living, this goes back to the 60s. I was living in Jalan Pegawai. And in fact, the house that I used to stay in, government quarters, is now the residence of the Palestinian ambassador. And my neighbor's house is now the embassy. So that embassy house, the next door neighbor, used the first neighbors there were Mat Saleh, Mark, Ian and Gavin were the children. Betty or Elizabeth was the wife, and the husband was Mr. Patch. I never knew his first name. He was with the police, so and he was British. And, during the early 60s, we had millennialization. So he phased out his job and got Malaysians to take over his job. He had a senior position in the police, and he used to take me to Bukit Aman. I think there's an officer's mess or something with the swimming pool and all that. So anyway, after he left the Malaysian police, he didn't go back to UK, but he emigrated to Australia, and I lost touch with them. So his children, Mark, Ian and Gavin, were close to me. We were childhood playmates, And then across the road in the corner house was Mr. Jauhari. He was Director General of Veterinary Services. And then next door to him was Mr. Kulasingham, who was Director General of, or was Auditor General or something like that, some auditing firm, government service. And then next door was, on the opposite side of the road from me, was the Surins. I think Mr. Surin worked in the postal service, and 2 sons, a bit older than me or my age, Kenneth, who was retired now, but he was a professor of divinity at Duke University in the US, and he did his PhD in Birmingham. And we got in touch in the late 70s when I was studying at the United World College of the Atlantic. He came by to visit the college where he went to in the 63 also. So he was my super senior at the United World College of the Atlantic. So in the year that I went to Atlantic College, which is the short name for United World College of the Atlantic, there were two of us who represented Malaysia. One other person, Abu Zarin, became an architect, and myself. So there were two of us Malaysians who represented Malaysia at this international college. We had, at that time when I was there, students from 38 different countries, including from China. So that was a very rare thing in those days to have meeting people from China, because a lot of people have this perception, China communist and bad, blah, blah, blah. But when you meet people and interact with them and become friends, you'll find people are people from anywhere in the world, we have the same virtues, the same sins, the same needs and wants. And I think what struck me very much about United World College was a saying by one of the Nobel Peace Prize laureates, Lester B. Pearson, who was at one time Prime Minister of Canada. He said, how can there be world peace if people do not know each other? And how can people know each other if they do not talk to each other? So, we have a lot of friendships made at college. People from all over the world, like I said, 38 different countries, all sort of religions, and even those without religion. From Russia, I remember Sasha was from Russia, and we had a Russian maths teacher, Dr. Tamarin, and I had also a teacher from Egypt, Elham Shiri, and whenever he used to do proofs on the board, he says by the so-called Pythagoras theorem, blah, blah, blah. So one day I was so curious because he keeps saying by the so-called Pythagoras theorem. So I asked him, why do you keep saying by the so-called Pythagoras theorem? Isn't it the Pythagoras theorem? He said, we Egyptians knew this thousands of years before Pythagoras. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to build the pyramids. So, so sometimes that was like the first time I got introduced to Western bias in science, And that Western bias also goes to more modern times. For example, the West would call the table of elements the periodic table. But in Russia, it's called the Mendelev's table because Mendeleev sort of invented it, So there's a lot of bias that way. And in medicine and dentistry, there's also a over-specialization in the West. In the Eastern European countries, or the former Eastern Bloc countries, say, for example, Latvia, Poland, and I've visited medical universities in Poland and Latvia. They do not have a dental faculty, okay? So how it works is they don't even have dentistry, because when you think about it, dentistry comes from the word dentine, and dentine is just a component of the tooth. So they call it stomatology, which is the study of the mouth, okay? They take a more holistic approach. And also in the education, because they don't have a dental faculty, they have a department of stomatology within the faculty of medicine. So they do recognize as what we call dentistry, as the West calls it, as a branch of medicine. And medical students and dental students study together in, say, the preclinical years. They study biochemistry, anatomy, gross anatomy, physiology, and all the basic medical science subjects, the theory part, together. And when they treat patients, so for example, someone has oral cancer, it's a team. So you have the dental students, the oral surgeons, and the medical students, and the students specializing in cancer, all treating the patient. So they take a very holistic approach. And I made friends, and in fact, when my daughter was on her what do you call, just before her final year at university, she had a semester break. This was in 2016. I took her to Latvia to have an internship for 1 month with a friend who was one of the leading periodontists and dental implant surgeons in Latvia, in Riga. So she spent a month there at her clinic. Unfortunately, my friend was in the United States at the time doing research. In fact, she just won some awards for her research, and she actually branched out and did research on skincare. So she has a PhD in dentistry. So anyway, she was doing research at Stony Brook University in New York, and she commercialized her research, and it's won awards. So I'm very proud of her and so happy that my friends are very successful that way. So anyway, back to United World College. So you have people from different countries, different races, and we see the commonality of humanity, and we learn universal values, but most importantly, we have activities at the college where you actually put your life in someone else's hands, and likewise other people put their lives in your hands. For example, with inshore lifeboats, these are inflatable dinghies, the RNLI. So the college had a Royal National Lifeboat Institute station. So they do sea rescue. So if people, get lost at sea, they go and rescue these people. And one of the first things we had to do was to climb back on the boat from the sea. And the Bristol Channel is cool in winter. Of course, you're wearing a wetsuit, but for people from the tropics, it's like, So I tried doing inshore lifeboats for a while. So one of the first things we had to learn to do is climb back onto the boat. So they chuck you off the boat, and then you're supposed to climb back on the boat on your own without any help, because in case of emergency, there's no one to help you. You have to do that. And because I failed that, I couldn't do inshore lifeboats. So I also tried cliff rescue, where you rescue sheep that climb on the cliffs, or climbers who get stuck, and things like that. So I had a friend, a senior, who was going to rescue a sheep that got stuck on the cliff, but just as he was about to grab the sheep got scared and jumped off the cliff and died. So that was very traumatic for my friend. So when you do abseiling, you literally put your life in someone's hands, because if they slip up or cock up or slip the rope, and you can fall down to your death. So you learn about teamwork and trust. And later on, I was a crew of a hot air ballooning team. This wasn't in college, but this was in Malaysia. So a hot air balloon is a very strange aircraft. It comes disassembled. You have to assemble it and then inflate it with hot air, and then you take off. So when it's disassembled, and you have to trust the people assembling it, that they assemble it the right way. So there are components in the hot air balloon that would fit, but it has to fit in the correct way. You cannot tabalik and fit, because it will pose a danger and endangers people's lives. So again, you learn teamwork, you learn trust, because if you slip up or someone slips up, it can cost your life or the other person's life. So the SOPs you have to follow and things like that. So you learn protocols and stuff, and it's all very interesting. And the captain of the hot air ballooning team was actually a Syrian. He was doing his PhD at UKM in mechanical engineering, and after that he lectured at UKM, but he's back in Syria now that the war is over, and he's there to do his part in nation building. So when you have friends, close friends, and you fall in love with people from different races, different countries, you tend to be more universal and not so much katak bau tempurung, or someone who's got teranchat akal. Okay, so Yeah, so that's the bonus material. It kind of explains my outlook on life, my worldview, and it also manifests itself in my Green Party ideology.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.